There is this feeling, a feeling of confusion, of panic, of terror. I don't know what to do. Should I stay? See if it stops? I'd rather just escape.
We were in Hawaii on a family vacation, and we were there to do snorkeling and whale watching and just get away as a family. What I remember is that Mary went with us, and we all went out and to feed the fish. And the fish knew this drill, and as soon as they knew that we had peas, they would all swarm around us. You actually had to hold the peas up out of the water because the fish would smell them or sense them or know that they're there and come swarming around. And when they did, it was pretty overwhelming, even for me who was comfortable in the water. You'd have, like I said, literally thousands of fish around you, and they'd be bumping into you and nipping at you and trying to get at the peas. They'd even at one point ate through the bag when I didn't have it out of the water. And so you couldn't see anything but fish, and they were all around you and bumping into you. And once you realize, for me at least, that, okay, they're not going to eat me, you settle down, but it's still a little terrifying. So Mary, being quite young and new to the water, seemed quite scared. And all I know is that I looked up, wondering where she was, and within a few seconds from when I saw her last, she was all the way at the beach, about 100 yards away from me, and I wasn't quite sure what had happened. Well, it was an incredible experience being in the water with those fish in Hawaii, snorkeling, and we even saw turtles later that day. And those are all things that I think that Mary would have really enjoyed. You could hear the whales singing when you put your head under the water. And it was just, like I said, an incredible environment, an incredible experience.
Usually the way one knows one has a fear is based on certain physiological responses. There's a whole range of physiological as well as thinking type sensations that occur. And essentially the body is preparing for fight or flight. So it's actually a natural response to threat, which in and of itself isn't abnormal. Mm-hmm. It's when the response becomes greater than what one would expect that it then can become a phobia.
This is a true statistics. I think this is a really funny one. How many of you have been to Hawaii? Oh, wow, a lot. How many of you sat under a coconut tree? A lot. Do you know statistically that more people have been killed from sitting under a coconut tree than sharks? Now that's true. I was amazed at that statistics.
Essentially, a phobia is caused when there is some particular event that occurred, and over time, the way it gets processed by the mind, it becomes a phobia, or it grows and it starts to get triggered anytime there's exposure to the particular event or situation or person that the phobia is about.
Mm-hmm. I hate my phobia. I hate the fact that I can't go into the water if there's fish in it. I hate that I'm not just scared of sharks or whales. I'm scared of tiny goldfish. I no longer want to be in a state of pure panic every time I'm faced with the prospects of swimming with fish. So I've decided to set out to solve the problem. I am going to snorkel.
The most effective technique in helping someone diminish or eliminate a phobia is what's called exposure therapy or desensitization. Essentially what is involved in that is gradual exposure, during which time the person tries to regain control of those physiological responses that one has. So by gradually increasing your exposure to that in a controlled setting, you can learn to diminish, decrease, and possibly eliminate your response to that particular phobia.
Me and Mary went to Hawaii summer before 8th grade. So me and Mary went to Hanauma Bay one day, like halfway through the trip, and we got there and her grandparents bought us like the snorkel gear or rented it for us. Like we put it all on and we started walking out and we like got into the water And I was like running in and I was really excited. And then I turn around and Mary's not with me anymore. And she's like standing on the beach. And I walked up to her and I asked her like what was wrong. And she took her mask off and started crying and was like hysterical and was like, I can't do this, I can't go in. And I asked her why, and she was scared of the fish and didn't want to go in. And I tried to persuade her to go in, and she was absolutely not going in that water. So I went in alone, and Mary went back to the beach and sat with her grandparents while I snorkeled. Well, at first I was really angry because I didn't want to go snorkeling alone, and I just couldn't understand how she could be afraid of fish that are like tiny little fish.
At the time, all I was thinking about was how much I did not want to be limited by my phobia. I wanted to experience this thing that everyone says is so amazing. But what I didn't realize was that I was moving way too fast. There was a process I had to follow, and without it, I wouldn't see results.
So if you have fear of swimming with fish, what actually might be a first step is actually spending some time imagining yourself swimming with fish, or perhaps watching a video of someone swimming with fish, or actually going to a place where people are swimming with fish. At the point that you actually get in the water and swim with fish, if that's what you first started off doing, you may not have success if you hadn't already learned to exert control over the response. The second component that's important in the desensitization and exposure therapy is learning how to be aware and be in touch with your body's physiological responses to the phobia, and learning how to do relaxation exercises that can then diminish that physiological response. That's something that one can do before exposure to the particular event or situation that causes the phobia. And again, the more you can decrease and regain control of your body's physiological response, there's going to be a greater success of diminishing or eliminating the particular phobia.
Now that I know what I need to do, the idea of overcoming my phobia seems quite tangible. It will require work, and I will have to push myself mentally, but it is something that I want, so I'm prepared to do whatever it takes in order to achieve my goal. So I start searching the internet for every underwater video I can find. I buy fish so I can get as closely connected to my fear as possible. I even buy a season pass to the Monterey Bay Aquarium so I can observe the underwater creatures in person. Every time I go back to the aquarium, I tell myself that it is all in preparation for my goal. In order to be able to snorkel, I have to do this. And as time goes by, I start feeling more relaxed every time I go back. These fish can't be that bad. I mean, they still freak me out, but I'm sure they don't all want to attack me. This mentality worked. And eventually, I even worked up the courage to pet a bat ray.
Oh, too bad. Here, there you go, touch it.
Oh, I touched it! Oh,
You touched it.
I like to share the things I enjoy with my kids. And I mean, even just going to the aquarium with Mary recently, it was just fun just to be doing something. And how much more fun would it be to be actually out in the ocean?
But now, as I face my final test, I am unable to accomplish my ultimate goal. Even though I have made great advancements with my phobia, I am not ready to join the underwater world. But what I've realized through this whole experience is that it's not about whether or not I can swim with fish on my first try. It's that I am trying, and that I am willing to go into the water and conquer my phobia.